And welcome back to the 7th installment of Hacking My Productivity with the Neurosity Notion headset. I'll be using Neurosity's brain scanning headset right here. It has the same computation power as a cell phone. The goal that Neurosity is focused on is helping developers achieve more of those like 4 hour long sessions of programming where you walk out of the programming session and you're just like, wow, I feel like the best. Like this is what I live for. I mean, there are days as a programmer where I feel like I get nothing done, and there are other days where I'm like, I have superpowers. So, trying to create a way to repeat that or make that easier to get into, and that's really the heart and soul of Neurosity right now. Is if like monks mastered focus first, we believe programmers will be the next people to embrace this brainwave technology and learn how to master focus using these tools. It takes many years to learn, but maybe we can write to the brain with music, with metrics, different things like that. Provide the conscious mind some information from the subconscious mind. So that's really what we're jamming on. And I've been heads down working on a new feature to make sense of my productivity data when I use the Neurosity Notion. So the Notion is continuously saving my focus and calm data. So that's a gamma wave based brain wave that has to do with like intense focus, and then calm is alpha wave based brain metric that's more on relaxed and meditative type states. We track these metrics and then we draw conclusions from these metrics, and that's what I've been working on, and that's what we'll be working on today, keeping that momentum going. If you're interested to learn where this project has started, go check out one of the earlier productivity videos. We're now sort of cruising past the wrapping up one of these features. So the features I've been looking at is taking a day's worth of brainwave data, chunking that into different sessions. So I do an hour here, I do an hour there, and creating productivity scores on those sessions, and then presenting that information to the user so that they can learn something. And that's really been the big focus. So we'll go take a look at what we've been working on, and then we'll just jump right into the code. I have a lot that I want to get off my chest, get out of my head and onto the keyboard, so I'm very excited to start getting after it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a note in the chat window. I try and check it periodically, and I will always answer your questions to the best of my ability. And of course, subscribe so you can get updated when I go live and things like that. So we're here to answer any questions. I love taking breaks and answering questions. So feel free to jump on in the chat. So let's get after it. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen, as I probably don't need to say that because I'm controlling what you see, but I'm just so used to saying that with all the Zoom meetings I do. So if we do npm start. Get this server up and running at least. We're gonna end up opening up. I already have one running, so I already have this process running over here. So if I come over here and then go localhost 3000, here's the developer console. So this is a live view looking at my productivity. You can see this is where I was doing the intro period. I'm like putting it on my head. I'm doing the intro period, and now you'll see when I start getting after the programming, you'll see what's happening. So I've been talking for 3 minutes, total of 2 minutes, and of this time, based on the current algorithm, which definitely needs to be improved, we've lost almost a minute to distractions. So interesting. But if I go look at another previous day, like what day do we like to use? I think April 15th is a good one. We can see here that we have different sessions. So these are the 3 sessions I had, creating quality scores. So I really want to turn this quality score into like a meter looking thing. Eventually, I want to get a better way to display this productive time versus lost time versus total amount of time. Maybe like a nice graph bar or something would be cool. So we'll figure that out. There's like a lot we can do here with the UI. And then session 3 has a score of 98. So I mean that's like as good as it gets. So very cool. And so what we did last time was break this down. We really cleaned this up, and we made this whole entire thing that I'm highlighting here a single component. And in React, that's very powerful. So we have And then we're just essentially looping through the number of sessions, and we're plotting and we're printing those to the screen. And there's some improvements I want to make in here already. You can see day metrics is like constantly being changed, or this function is constantly being re-rendered, so it's not bad. But this get chart data is constantly being ran, and I think that that's kind of not ideal. So I want to just try and update this to use effect, and I don't know if this is going to work or not. I really don't, but let's just try this. We're going to use effect, and then we want this use effect to run anytime day metrics changes. We're going to set the chart data, and so chart data is going to actually have to end up being const chart data, or set chart data is equal to use state, and we'll set this equal, I guess, I don't know yet. I think we should probably set that equal to an object. And then every time day metrics changes, we're going to update set chart data. Should work. I think that's good. Day metrics, set day metrics, and chart data set. Okay, and then here we probably need to protect from chart data being like empty, but maybe we don't need to. Okay, cool. So already a lot, like we're seeing that we're not getting day metrics printed out, a ton of times, and the chart data isn't constantly being updated and redrawn every single time. So I think that will probably help with some stuff. So the way we did that is with some performance that we were seeing. So essentially we only set chart data when day metrics changes. So if I go over to another day and I hit here, day metrics is called, day metrics and chart data is set, and boom, we can see it immediately get fixed. So very cool, very cool. All right, so next I want to take, I kind of have this idea that maybe we should be plotting like this session, like under session we should be plotting this thing instead of plotting the whole. So if I go look at a day that has, let's go pick April 15th, okay? It's a little slow, my computer's working out hard right now. I think maybe we're going to spend one of these days just optimizing this chart. Oh, come on. Let's do April 15th. April 16th. I'm looking for a day with multiple sessions. I can't remember which day I always use. Anyway, let's see if this does it. Well, it certainly looks weird that it starts at 1:13. It's probably a really short session. So here you can see an interesting error. So there was a couple milliseconds or a couple for a little bit earlier in the day, 1:13. You can see there's not even like going to be 60 metrics here that were ran. That is weird that it's not showing 2 sessions. Well, that's a weird bug. Maybe we should take a look at that. And we also have the productive time. Looks very messed up as well. So maybe we want to go take a look at how this score is being calculated. For one, I mean, I wasn't expecting to run into a bug, but well, there you go. So, Let me go see if anything else is broken. I remember on this day I had just like one really clean session. Wow, this is not performant at all. This really needs to be fixed. Okay, so I've broken everything. Interesting that some of it is not broken though. But then other parts of it are very, very broken. I also don't like that that's getting limited to 10,000. Let's just let's raise that up to 15,000. And then it's really weird that I wonder what broke that. I doubt that it was the set chart data, but we can try. Let me see if that fixes it. I can't imagine that's what does it. Just comment this out for a second. The limit is 10,000. We need to switch this over from just getting one query to multiple queries to get all of the data. We'll work on that another time. So this was yesterday. I think yesterday I had multiple sessions. Interesting. So moving that chart data to another function does actually break the code. Or moving that to the hook does seem to break the code. Alright, let's see what happens here. Okay, so this is working now, but when I switched it over to that use state, it broke it. Huh. Anytime day metrics changes, this thing is supposed to rerun the sessions. Get sessions called. New sessions, get sessions called. So that's changing because selected day changed, right? And day metrics isn't changing. But I wonder why when we come over here, does that break it? get sessions called. I wonder if day metrics changed. So I know day metrics from this using polling query function is in the state. Okay, interesting. I'd really like to move this chart data. Let's just start going with that and seeing what happens. Let's move this chart data into analytics, okay? Let's start porting that over there, and I want each chart to be underneath the session information. I think that would be an interesting idea. Let's just start by porting this over there. Okay, and what do we need to do to bring this over there? So we need chart data, and that's going to be see, why is that? Okay, that's better. Okay, so you gotta wrap that in a div. Probably you don't even need a div, but just an empty bracket. Okay, so line is going to take chart data, and chart data, where's chart data come? Get chart data. Okay, so we're actually going to put this into another function called call it new file, and we'll call this I don't know, utils. Put that there. And we'll say export. And then over here, we're gonna say import from /utils, and we're going to say get chart data option space. Okay, so cool. So now that those are there, we can then say over here, we can say in not utils or memories, but over in analytics, we can now say something like set sessions. And then we could say something like when sessions updates, we could say use effect. I think. session. So every time sessions updates, this function's going to run. I'm going to say if not sessions, then we're going to return, or else, whoop, or else we're going to say const chart options set chart options, and we're going to use state, and we're going to then say this is an object, and we're going to say something like this. We're going to say every session is going to have an ID, right? So now we can do something like this. So we could say alright, sessions has just been set. Sessions is an object with keys that are the session ID. So we're going to actually end up going and say I don't know. Let's say const chart options is equal to or let's say current chart options is equal to, no, that's not going to work. Let's just try something like this. I know this isn't the right thing to do quite yet, but let's just take this for a second and say, okay, at least here we have an object that's going around to every key, right? So now we don't need this. We're going to say, okay, so let's say const, new, or session chart data is equal to chart options question mark dot is that how we do it? Let me see. Let me just go look at a piece of code real quick. Pages. Looking at an app that Alex and I are working on right now. ID. Okay. That's the way to do it. Okay, got it. Chart options dot session ID. Whoop. Okay, so this is going to conditionally set session chart data if it exists in chart options. And if it doesn't exist in chart options, then we're going to want to say if not session chart data, then we're going to want to do something where we do const session or whatever, let's just say chart data is equal to and we need to import, we can actually just take this line. Does chart options change? I guess it's based on the labels, so let's just pause that for a second. Oh, this is gonna be cool. All right, we're gonna like this. This is gonna be cool. I'm seeing it. All right, so get chart data, get chart options, blah blah blah. Okay, chart data is going to be, we'll get chart data, and then we're gonna say We could even say const, current session is equal to sessions dot session ID, and we're going to say get chart data takes metrics comma labels. So we're going to come back over here, and I guess we need to also pass in labels, and let's do labels. Where are we using chart options? Get chart options labels. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's just leave that then, because I know we're going to have a similar line of code right here, but we do need to pass in labels, so let's just go ahead and do that. Labels, and we'll go back over to here. Let's get rid of that, and we'll at least pass in labels equals to labels. Okay, so now we have labels over here, and this isn't going to be chart options, it's actually going to be chart data. Set chart data. I feel like it should be maybe all chart data. Set all. I don't know if I like that either. We'll work on the naming in a second once we actually use it. Alright, so when session changes, we're then going to come down here. You can say something like this, all chart data. I think we need to do that if we want to use it. Actually, we don't have to do that. We're going to get chart data, and this takes metrics comma labels. So this is going to take current session dot metrics and labels. Okay, and then we're going to say set all chart data. Oh, this is going to be broken. CHRT. I'm going to say full chart. Okay, so we're going to say set all chart data. Alright, and this is going to take, this is the previous chart data. Previous chart data. And we're going to then return previous chart data. We're going to spread that out, and of course then we're going to return session ID is equal to chart data. Am I spelling chart right? Why do I feel like I'm not spelling chart right? Okay, so what's that doing, right? So we're looping through an object of sessions. Obviously, if sessions is null, then we can return it. I think we have to put in all chart data here. Because we're using it in here. That seems to be Alex's rule. I mean, React's rule, but Alex always tells me that. Because we're using it right there, so we don't want it to be stale. Okay, I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but let's just think if that works. Okay, so now at this point though, all chart data should have a key with the current session ID down here. So we should be able to say chart data, we should be able to say all chart data session ID. And that should all just magically work. Let's see if that's true. Okay. Chart options is not defined. Get chart options. Okay, so we're gonna have to pass chart options in here. Interesting. Interesting. It's weird because get chart options here only has labels, so it's kind of silly to make me do that, but well, I guess that's interesting. Is chart options a stateful variable? Where's chart options coming from? Oh no, it's a function. Ah, services metrics. So then in utils we really need that's really the way to do it. Okay, that makes more sense. Line is not defined. Okay, well, that makes sense. Trying to use it, but I haven't defined it. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so that's cool. That's super cool. I mean, obviously some other stuff's broken, but I don't know what this should have. Unique key. Oh. Whoops. Okay, so if we go look at another day, let's look at April 16th. Dun, 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 dun. Wait, what takes so long? I think we should spend 5 minutes to try and figure out how to cache this stuff. I don't know anything about cache, but this is just not what I signed up for. Oh yeah, okay, but this is more closely to what I signed up for. So check this out. How cool is this? So we can start seeing on a per session basis a line chart instead of all smushed into one thing that's hard to like make sense of. We can now be like, oh, that really wasn't that long of a session. You can now see like what was good about this. Oh, this is super cool. Okay, so we're getting into this, and it is only using focus data. So not liking that it says column there, but I am liking where this is going. I would love to try and figure out if like selected day is not today. So if we're looking back in time, can we look for this data in cache before we actually like do a polling query? Would be my question. So let's ask that question. Like how are we getting this data if it's not today? So I know we have this query. We have day metrics and use polling query. And every time this component's re-rendered. Okay, so I bet in here if polling interval is null, we only do it like one time. So let me go check that. Watch, I bet that's it. Go over here. Use memo. I think that uses the memory if I remember correctly. Query options, polling interval, use interval, fetch. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so because query options are changing, I bet. Right, so we're passing in query options. Query options are changing, which is causing this set loading equal to true, and it causes this fetch to fire. Okay, cool. And even if, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Query options not polling. Oh, no, that's okay. I didn't know you could do that. Okay. So the question then is, instead of this fetch, right, could we do something where we like get it from the memory? I don't know. I did see that use memo will only recompute the memorized value when one of the depths has changed. I don't know if that's what we want. So let me go over here. Optional chaining. Yeah. So let me shoot Alex a question. Say, how do you store to local, what's it called? Local memory? That's a different name. Local memory in React. Alright, so let me go hop over here to the web page and say how to store object to local storage with React. All right. So it looks like add item, delete item. Local storage. That's it? I wonder how I import local storage. I mean, let's just try it. That's a variable already? Okay, I'm new to this whole local storage thing, so that seems pretty easy. Alex just shipped me over example. Interesting. Persisted device ID. Use persisted state. Interesting. So Alex is saying there's something called use persisted state. Okay, so it looks like we can just use persisted state. All right, let's start thinking about how we can, oh, what did I change here? Okay. So in this polling query, this is something where we want to, instead of, I guess, going to fetch, we could simply check to see if this exists, and if it doesn't exist, then fetch it. If it does exist, don't fetch it. Yeah, let's just do that. So query options. So we could say, I'm pretty sure, I just want to look right here, console.log. I want to see if polling interval is null when I change something. When I click on a previous day. So let's go over here. Query options does change. Polling interval is null. Okay, cool. So we can use that to our advantage. So now let's just say if query options dot polling interval, if not, so if we get here, that means that query options or polling interval is null, which means we don't need to fetch else. Okay. So then if that's true, and over here, whoop. Okay, developer console, use persistent state. I love all these cool little hooks. Okay, so then look at that. Okay, so you end up doing something up here. Actually, we may not be able to do. Yeah, this works. I think. Really don't know. Okay, so we're gonna do metrics, and we're gonna say user day metrics. All right. Count. So these things have to match up, I guess. You don't need to use user. Use day metrics. Day metrics. Okay. Okay, so we won't kill the real-time stuff because polling query is not, we're not going to touch this fetch interval, and when polling interval is null, I wonder if that's the issue too. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Let me just try and finish this up. I'm going to quit Slack real quick. Okay, so if not query options, let me just take this real quick. Use documents. I'm not sure if this will work, but that's okay. Honestly, I kind of just want to see what happens at this point. Oh, not that one. Okay. So let's just give this a shot real quick. I just want to see what happens. I guess it really should be... It's probably a better way to do this whole thing. But let's just see. Set documents. So query options has changed. Alright, so if it is the selected day, then do this, else, actually let me fix that. So if it's not the selected day, let's just see if we can get let's just do this. Documents, set documents, use state, and then we'll say stored cached documents, and we'll say set cached documents. Let's try this. Okay, so if it's not selected today, then let's say if it's not the selected day, how do we know what day it is? We know this is false. Yeah, we may not want to do that. We know polling interval is that. I guess my question that I'm trying to figure out right now is how do we know what day is what day the metrics are stored? So if we save this to cache, right? If we save these documents to cache, like we do something like, I don't know, if it is the selected day, we get something like, cached. I really want it to be something like cached documents, selected day, set documents, cached documents, selected day, something like that. That way we're not, forced to have to keep querying here, and then we'll do something like return. So it doesn't hit any of this. We could probably, do something like this and put that there as well. Because, I don't think we really want to go query and have to wait for it. I think we just want to hit it immediately. So the question is, how do we do that? That's really the question. So I wonder if we can do something like query options, and then we pass in some key for the day. I guess I would wonder what selected day is, but we could say use polling query and pass in selected day, and then we can come over here and say selected day, and then at least console log it for a second. And then when we fetch, we're saying, so we're actually going to move this up, and we're going to say okay, so then we're going to actually end up printing out over here. Let's just print out console.log selected day. And let's also do selected day to string and just see what happens. Selected day. So that is actually something we could use as our key. Let's just do that. Keep it simple. And so we're going to say that this is initially an array, and then we're going to say something like, what would it be? Const, day, const metrics. I don't know. Let's just play with that. Const metrics is equal to cached documents question mark. Is that how you do that? I just used that earlier. Dot selected day. So if no metrics, if metrics, set documents, set last updated, cast documents, selected day. Okay, and then or else we will come down here and we will say set documents, and then we'll also say set cached documents, and we'll actually do something like this, and we'll say previous prev cached documents, and then we'll go and we will say return, and we'll spread previous cached documents, and then we'll add selected day at data. All right, how do we feel about that? I think we should definitely have a console.log got documents from cache, And then over here, we're going to say console.log getting documents. Or actually, if we just move this down one, got documents from cache or from internet. All right, so let's see if this works. What's the error? That was weird. I just had to refresh the page. I don't know what the problem was there. Do we see anything up here where it says got data from cache or something? Got documents from internet. Okay, that makes sense. So now, if we come over here to the 17th, it should say wow, I wonder why all those time sync features are just failing like that. It's really weird. Oh boy. What is going on with this? Is that really because of the Okay, so this is April 17th. So then let's click a little one. That is April 17th. So it's going to get these from the internet. Get sessions called. I don't know if I like that that's called. Okay, now let's go see if we click back on the 17th. Get documents from cache. Well, that's cool. It is cool that it said that it got it from cache, so it did exist. However, this loading thing is still happening. And I guess my question is, did we ever set loading to false? No, we did not. Okay. Okay, so we do have an issue here where it's not getting documents, so Alex was right. And I will fix that. Oh, look at that though. That's much better. It just pulled that right from cache. Oh, yes. It's pulling it right from cache. Yes. Okay, that's awesome. Look at that. It's getting it from the internet, right? But if I go over here, it's like immediate. Oh yeah, that's good. Look how much better, more performant that is. Woo! I feel like we're almost at a good stopping point. That's as good as it gets. And that's a good feeling. Okay, so check this out. So if we go pull from a day that's big, it'll load. Loading. I don't know why it's taking so long. And what day is this? April 10th. Is that right here? April 4th. So now if we go click on April 17th, it's much faster. And if we go back to April 10th, it's immediately fetching that and updating everything. So that is just too cool. All right, so I think that's a pretty good stopping point. We ended up, so this whole time we added the ability to see charts down here. We'll probably clean these up next time, maybe do a little CSS work. I don't know. And then we'll see We added these into each session, so that was cool. We reused a component, and then we added local caching, which helped performance a lot. And so that's exciting. So very cool. Very happy to see that. And if we go to today, this is my data from the current session. So not the most productive, but pretty good. I guess that's interesting that we have like this slow decrease in my gamma activity. I'd love to understand why that was, but pretty good score of 88. And that's interesting. You have this decrease in gamma activity throughout this today. So very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining in. Pull this up. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining in. We've been programming for the past hour using the Neurosity Notion, tracking my focus and creating data that creating metadata based off that focus data that's being pumped out on the device. This helps us track focus, and then we use these metrics to create different experiences like playing music. And the whole goal here is to help developers get more of those moments where you're like, I'm in the zone and I'm crushing this code, and to really like help us stay in that high mental state as much as possible. Get focused faster, stay focused longer. That's the deal. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure I'll be back again maybe tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to doing some CSS to clean up some of these components. I'm looking forward to maybe doing just a whole day of bug fixing, or a whole session of bug fixing where I'm not trying to write any features. I'm just going back in and polishing. I'll probably talk to Alex to see what we can clean up here, but very happy to see some of the more performance stuff that we just got in today, and I'm really happy with where this is going. Hopefully I can release this this week or something to the developers that are currently using Notion to boost their productivity. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. Stay healthy and stay safe out there.